Is your rabbit fragile by nature? While rabbits are incredibly resilient in some ways, science tells us something very different about their anatomy and their physiology. These animals are resilient as a species, but they're fragile as individuals. This is one of those cases where two things can be true at the same time. There's so much information circulating about these animals. Some say that since wild rabbits survive outside every day, they can't possibly be fragile. At first glance, that seems logical, but it actually misunderstands what fragility really means. Being fragile doesn't mean an animal is weak. Fragility means an animal can be seriously harmed by things that might not affect other species in the same way. It also means they can be more easily harmed than other species. When we look at rabbit anatomy, physiology, and countless veterinary experts who have long term experience caring for these animals, we see that they absolutely qualify as fragile animals. Let's start with the skeleton. A rabbit's skeleton makes up only about 8% of its body weight. For comparison, a cat's skeleton makes up about 13% of its body weight. That's a huge difference. Rabbits evolved for speed and for escape. Their lightweight skeleton allows them to accelerate quickly when fleeing predators. But there's a trade off. Their powerful hind legs can generate tremendous force while their spine remains relatively delicate. When a frightened rabbit kicks or twists suddenly, the force generated by those hind legs can actually injure the rabbit. This is why so many veterinarians and those who run rabbit rescue facilities constantly stress proper handling. Improper restraint, accidental drops, or even rabbits panicking while being held can result in spinal fractures, dislocations, paralysis, or even death. In fact, spinal injuries are among the most common serious injuries seen in pet rabbits. Those injuries are not a sign of a robust animal. It's evidence of a species with a very specialized anatomy. The skeleton is only part of the story. Rabbits are also unusually sensitive to stress. Again, this makes perfect sense when you consider their evolutionary history. For countless years, rabbits survived by assuming everything wanted to eat them. Their nervous system is built to react to danger. Unfortunately, that same stress response can create serious medical problems in captivity. We can observe the behavior of these animals when they hear a sudden loud noise or they spot a predator outside of a window. They're stressed during car rides, veterinary examinations, or even moving into a new home. Painful health conditions or even changes in their routine, all of these things can affect a rabbit far more dramatically than many rabbit owners realize. And that brings us to perhaps the greatest example of rabbit fragility, the digestive system. Rabbits are hindgut fermenters. Their digestive tract depends on a delicate balance of bacteria and continuous movement of food throughout the intestines. When that system slows down, trouble starts. Veterinarians refer to this condition as gastrointestinal stasis or GI stasis. GI stasis is one of the most common medical emergencies seen in rabbits. Stress, pain, dehydration, illness, improper diet, and other health problems can cause the digestive tract to slow or even stop. Once that happens, gas can build up, appetite decreases, and the situation can rapidly become life-threatening. Unlike some animals that can skip meals without major consequences, rabbits need to eat almost constantly. That is one reason rabbit-savvy veterinarians emphasize immediate action whenever a rabbit refuses to eat food, produces fewer droppings in the litter box, or appears to be uncomfortable. The rabbit digestive system is remarkably efficient when everything is working correctly, but it's also remarkably sensitive when something goes wrong. When things go wrong, a series of cascading health events can occur very quickly. That is exactly what biological fragility looks like. Since rabbits are prey animals by nature, they're experts at hiding signs of illness and injury. In the wild, showing weakness can attract predators. And as a result, Rabbits frequently appear normal until they're seriously sick. Many rabbit owners have experienced this firsthand. One minute, your rabbit seems fine. Then suddenly, his appetite decreases. His droppings become smaller. Activity levels change. Within hours, your furry friend might require emergency veterinary care. The illness probably didn't suddenly happen, but to us humans, that's how it looks. It's likely that the rabbit simply concealed his pain and discomfort until he could no longer do so. This rabbit habit of hiding illness and injury makes rabbits particularly vulnerable because owners often have very little time to respond once symptoms become obvious. Does any of this mean that rabbits are weak? Absolutely not. Wild rabbits do survive predators, harsh weather, disease, and environmental challenges every day. Their species has been successful for countless years. But survival in nature doesn't mean an animal isn't fragile. Rabbits are fragile. They survive because they avoid danger whenever possible. Rabbits rely on awareness, speed, hiding, reproduction, and caution. They don't survive because they're physically tough. Rabbits are fragile by nature in many ways. You don't need to look any further than the documented science and long-term experience of rabbit owners and caretakers who know this to be true. The real question isn't whether rabbits are capable of surviving. Of course, the species has endured. The question is whether their bodies are especially susceptible to injury, stress, and medical emergencies. According to very well documented veterinary science, the answer to that question is clearly yes. When we understand that they are fragile, it doesn't make rabbits less impressive. This knowledge helps us care for them better. It also reminds us to handle them properly. Watch for appetite changes, minimize stress in their environment, provide excellent nutrition, and quickly seek veterinary care when things go wrong. Rabbits are extraordinary animals, but they are prey animals with highly specialized bodies. Respecting that reality is one of the most important parts of responsible rabbit ownership.